Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Stratford Live TV with Joe Draper
and Edward Lowe. In this episode, Ed will be out to Bidford to meet Si from Power Maxed Racing. So we'll have lots of things to learn there, new insights. It's all going to be new to me as well. There'll be a buy-to-let deal.
I'm not sure how interesting it will be for you. It was for me and Jack, to be fair.
Don't worry, I pretend.
To put a nice smile on it.
No, I'm sure it will be actually.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I mean, Si was a lovely guy to chat with on the phone, so I'm sure he's got lots to tell you in the interview.
Yeah, Jack played with his cogs. It was very good.
Yeah.
Touched quite a few.
He touched quite a few, yeah.
I wondered why you were so late back, but
I know, he took a
never
lot of time. Thinking about it, he took a lot of time over those.
Obviously just checking things over. Anyway, so we'll be then looking at another great buy-to-let deal. Jane, our home stylist, will have another super styling tip for us. We will also be...
Sorry, go on.
We'll also be discussing events coming up in the area, and Ed will have another interesting stat chat. Now this one...
Yes.
This one is quite intriguing. Again, another thing that I can't wait to hear about. It's a judgment that Ed's going to be sort of dissecting, and the statement is whether it's kind of true or false and what he's got to back it up with. Are first-time buyers or potential first-time buyers more interested?
This is rolling off the tongue. This suspense is killing me, even me.
First time getting a new iPhone or saving a deposit for a property.
Yeah, and if you understood that, you did better than I did. And we're not sure if Jane's going to appear in this episode or not.
Oh.
So we'll see. She might. But
She might do.
You have to stay tuned to see if you will
Fingers
see Jane
crossed.
or you might not see Jane.
Jane or no Jane.
Yeah. Well, not Jane. Yeah.
Or you just find someone else called Jane.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We could maybe get Jack to pretend he's Jane.
Absolutely.
In fact, that brings me nicely on because he is wearing girls' trainers today. So I think it'd only be fair. I think we need to get a judgment on these.
Hot coral laces.
This
This is an
really
official shade.
Yeah.
It is in my world.
Look.
Hot coral's one of my favourites.
And guess where you got these from? eBay.
It was Simon from Power Max.
Unwanted gift. I think you'll find.
What did Simon from Power Max say when we got there about my trainers? He said,
He said lots about your trainers.
I think my girlfriend's got the same trainers as you. I said, they're unisex.
Absolutely.
That has got unwanted gifts written all over them.
And I like the laces more than the blue, but
it's a winning
it is
combination.
contrasting. Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
That he can't carry off. But there we go.
They do speak louder than the rest of the outfit.
Yeah, I put them on because my little boy's got blue trainers and he says, can you put your blue trainers on as well? So.
It's ticking a box. Ticking a box there,
trying
isn't
to make
it?
you feel bad now.
Yeah, there you go.
Does it though? Or does it just make you want to...
I'm still amazed there's a colour called hot coral, to be honest. I didn't actually...
Well,
did you make that
up? I think I've got copyright on that. Yeah, hot coral.
I'll give you copyright
You'll be
on
using hot coral.
I feel like I'm mixing with Simon Hurst. Damien Hurst.
Simon Hurst.
I've got Simon from Power Max.
He's playing his cogs again, see, that's what it was.
Absolutely, I think it's distracted him somewhat
cogs
today.
in hand. Yeah. So we better get on with it, I suppose.
I think we should.
Yeah.
So shall we move to our first segment?
Yeah.
And the first segment is going to be Simon from Power Maxed Racing in Bidford.
So look, thanks for having us over. I know you're very busy. It's a bit of a quieter time of the year, I guess, for you guys. But do you want to tell us a little bit initially about sort of why you love the local area before we go into a bit more on PMR?
Well, firstly, thanks for coming out to see us.
Pleasure.
I'm a local boy anyway, so I grew up around Evesham. I used to live in Long Marston. My dad used to run a business in Stratford, so always been based around here. And let's be fair, it's a beautiful area. We're very central. We're very lucky with the amenities we've got around here, with the quality of life. It's just a nice area, really.
Yeah. So come on then, the interesting bit. Tell us about PMR. Would it be worth maybe telling people what PMR actually stands for? Because those who don't know, it might be worth telling it.
So PMR stands for Power Max Racing.
Yeah. Right.
It was actually started in 2015.
Okay.
We were basically Adam Weaver, chap that owns the company, our team principal, started a car care product company called Power Maxed back in 2012 or 2013, I believe. sponsored a couple of cars in the BTCC as an advertising medium across 2013, 2014, and then decided 2015 that actually we could do it better, and the team was formed. We run 2 cars.
Yeah.
So 2015 was our first year officially as Power Maxed Racing.
And this is the British Touring Car Championship.
British Touring Car Championship. So
British...
BTCC, biggest championship, well, most popular championship in the UK.
Yeah.
So last year, well, this season just gone, we finished our season in October. We had just under 20 million people watching it live on ITV.
Yeah. It's phenomenal figures, isn't it? So what would Formula One typically get, do you think?
In all honesty, I don't know. I think across the world, obviously, the figures are a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But now BTCC is actually the only free-to-air motorsport.
Just got a mass following then.
Yeah, huge following, and it's a family-based thing. So we tend to find at rounds, rather than just getting the odd lone person there with his camera, you get families, you get people that come to every round. The campsite at these at all the events is huge, and it's a bit of a party atmosphere, and people use it as a holiday. You tend to find a lot of the fans, because it's 10 events over the year. Realistically, most people get there on a Friday night and stay till the Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's 30 days. So that's probably most of their holiday for the year. And you'll tend to find there's a lot of groups of friends and things that get together at the rounds to have fun, basically.
And so have you always been based here in Bidford? Where you are now, this is where you started
This
off?
building that we're in now in Bidford on the industrial estate is where we started off in 2015.
Yeah.
We're pretty much at capacity now in the building. We run 5 cars currently.
That's a lot of cars. So how many people does that, how many do you employ now then?
There's 10 of us full-time.
Right.
So 4 or 5 in the workshop, and then the rest of us work on the commercial side and the sort of PR and marketing side. Obviously, we have a lot of sponsors to look after.
Yeah.
We make sure we work really, really closely with them, building a lot of engagement programs, and make sure that we're giving them as much as we can give them. So we're one of the only teams that actually has a full-time PR and marketing team, basically.
Right, okay. So I can tell by the amount of logos you've got on this top alone.
It's not subtle, is it?
Happen.
It's not subtle. So we're actually the factory Vauxhall touring car team. We have been that for the last 3 years. It's quite a big deal. So Vauxhall actually left the championship. They're kind of synonymous with the BTCC and racing in the UK.
Yeah.
We brought them back in 2017 after a lot of work. We're quite proud of that, to be honest.
Yeah. And you've got quite a famous driver in your team as well, don't you?
We have. So this year, 2019, we had Jason Plato driving for us alongside Rob Collard, who's also
He's on
very
fifth gear?
famous. Jason's 5th gear, presenter of 5th gear. He's been doing that for quite a long time. Just had a book come out, which I know he'll probably appreciate me plugging. Yeah, we're going to plug that. Yeah, I mean, he lends a lot of credence to us. He's the most successful British racing driver in history by wins. He's won 97 races now, which is more than anyone else. He's won the championship twice. He's come close numerous times. He's a big name.
That's a big thing for you guys to have that, because you know, from being located in Bidford, I think that's amazing to have somebody with such a great name behind him. Supporting your team.
Yeah, I mean, we've done 5 seasons in the BTCC now. We're a relatively young team. At the level we're at, we're kind of counted as one of the big 3,
right?
Which is a big accolade.
So how many teams are there then? Roughly.
Well, there's 30 cars, and most teams tend to run 2 cars. So there's a few single car teams and a few that run a couple more.
That's pretty good then, to be like top 3.
It's a good spread. Yeah, we're pretty. I mean, last year we finished joint second with a team that's won the championship more times than anyone else. So we're very proud of that. This year we finished 5th, we had a bit of a frustrating year. The times in the cars, both Rob and Jason, the 2 drivers, were constantly on the pace. But we had a few frustrating events that happened and everything that just kept us from that sort of top spot. Yeah. But we're doing a lot of work over the winter now to take it next year. Yeah, we want to win it next year. So.
And I noticed when you kind of gave us a tour, you've got a car that people can come over and rent or hire from you and take on the track.
So we do a thing called the Volkswagen Racing Cup, which is one of the biggest kind of feeder series into British touring cars in the UK. We run 2 cars in that. We do what we call an arrive and drive package. So if people want to race, if they've got some racing pedigree, or even if they don't race but they want to look into getting into it, if they're quite a competent driver and have done a lot of track driving, we'll help them put through their race licence, and we'll train them up. We'll put them in the car with a proper instructor, and we'll train them to race and everything. Obviously it costs money, but
it's a great thing to know that you do.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things. A lot of people who are out there, especially in this area, there's a lot of people with quite nice cars tucked away that do track days and do things like that want to know how to get into racing but aren't really sure how to do it. and it's a good way of getting into it
Yeah,
at
definitely.
a decent level.
And so to those people that do have these sort of like slightly more specialist cars, I understand as well you can help set these cars up properly, because when they come out of the factory they may not be completely up to spec.
No, exactly. So cars are always built from the factory at a compromise. Even if you're looking at things like Porsche GT3 RSs and things like that, there is still a little bit of compromise in their suspension setup. So we've got the facilities and the knowledge in-house. We do a lot of damper testing and spring testing for people, and a lot of proper setup work, from whether somebody's got a fast road car or a track car that they've potentially modified. They've changed the suspension, they've changed the wheels, and if you take that to a normal garage, they will set it up to what the manufacturer suggests it's set up to, whereas we look at different things, look at their driving style, look at how the car is, and look at what they want to do with it and set it up properly.
Yeah, great.
We also do a lot of things, so obviously the touring car, we've got one of the touring cars here behind us.
Yeah.
We're actually one of only 2 teams in the championship that build our own shells.
Right, okay.
We take a lot of pride in that. We do a lot of car builds for people. So if somebody wanted to build a race car or wanted to build a track car, didn't know where to go to have a roll cage installed, or everything. I mean, our British touring cars, there's about 600 hours in building one of these shells.
I know, we were talking earlier.
Yeah, they're
amazing.
very, very different to the car that they're based on.
Yeah.
We do all of that, and we design and build all of that in house.
Yeah. I can't believe how specialist it is. When we were just having the tour earlier, just you sort of think of what it may be in terms of roll cages and other things, but the intricacy and detail and the science behind it is quite fascinating, really. Just that extra layer of detail that goes into every single component to make it really
Yeah, I mean, a lot
perform.
of people think that even if you're into British touring cars, which a lot of people that are into cars are, you think a lot of people think it's just a road car with a roll cage and a tuned-up engine and modified suspension, whereas it couldn't be any further from the truth.
From what I've seen, it's nothing like it at all.
And I mean, the lengths that we go to make sure those cars are at the peak of their performance are pretty mad, to be honest. We operate what we call a lifing program, so every single component on the car, whether it's a circlip on a drive shaft, to brake pads, to the gears inside the gearbox, has a serial number on it, and we have a computer program called LifeCheck that basically monitors that, so we know exactly how many kilometres and how many hours something has done, to make sure we don't have any mechanical failures.
So at the end of a race, when you go from finishing one starting the other, there's presumably a rebuild process that goes on, and typically how long would that take to strip the car down and then get it back?
So the cars are unloaded when we get back here from a race weekend. It takes usually maybe a day and a half to strip the car down to component form. Everything's then checked in sub-assembly and rebuilt, so we'll rebuild the gearboxes, we'll rebuild the drive shafts, we'll check every single part of the car to make sure there's no stress fractures or anything. If we've had a bump, then the car will go on this chassis jig here,
right?
Which is what we're doing with this now. We're just checking it's all straight and making sure there's no issues with it, and then we have to get the car ready to go on the truck the Wednesday before a race weekend, so it tends to take 3 or 4 days to rebuild the car properly before that.
So it's pretty long hours,
pretty
I
intense.
imagine. I can imagine that is.
It's a bit of a lifestyle, to be honest. A lot of people think motorsport's glamorous and, you go to all these champagne parties and fly all over the world, and it's not. It's good. We enjoy it. We all do it because we love our job, but it's hard work.
You can clearly see that when we walk around and met some of the team here. You can definitely tell that people love it. It's definitely a thing to be into. Well, look, that's great. So if people did want to come in, and I know we mentioned about bringing their own cars in and perhaps getting set up, how would they do? Would they just get in contact with you guys?
Yeah, so if you go on the website, it's powermaxracing.com. You can reach us on the phone, 01789 330 727.
Okay.
We've obviously got a direct line in. We tend to speak to a lot of people about what they want to do, budgets, everything from, like I said, a basic setup of the car to a full-on race car build, and we also manage cars for people as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
So yeah.
Okay, super. Well, look, Si, I'll let you get on because I know you're busy. So thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
No problem. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks.
It was a really interesting interview, so I was excited to watch it. I think the one thing that I was quite perplexed by, and I think it was even a surprise to Jack, and he seems to know most things, is that
apart from Damien Hirst.
Yes, apart from artists, that such a big player within such a big industry is actually located so locally to us.
I know, it is quite strange. It's quite surreal, actually, when you understand what they do. They're only 15 teams. They're in the top 3 in the whole of the country, which is big. I think they were saying that there's 20 million viewers they get. So I think it's the biggest free to view motorsport. So it's only really just behind Formula One. And to have them located in in sunny Bidford is great, and I think you were absolutely right, you wouldn't know it's there. So it's really good to have that. I mean, they do such a good job, and they've got probably one of the most famous racers driving for them in Jason Plato, which is a massive shot of the arm for them, which is great. And they do some really quirky stuff. So I think I know a lot of people locally are very much into their cars with cafe machine and things like that. Good plug for them, by the way. But yeah, he needs to come on the show. But what is good is they will actually have got really specialist technicians there. So if you've got quite a specialist car,
it is a niche industry, isn't it?
Yeah, but they'll happily help you set your car up, which is, I think, if I had one, I haven't, and I think I'd definitely be all over that because
You've got an Audi TT though, didn't you?
I did. Not a convertible. What's wrong with an Audi TT anyway?
That was the hairdressing days.
Yeah.
Yes. You can tell I was never a hairdresser. That is one thing that I was never going to be, was a hairdresser. But no, they really do. They really do know their stuff, as you'd expect, because they're dealing with such a high performance level. And if you have got an inkling towards it, if you've got a car that's specialist or race car, even, they'll happily set it up for you, which I think is, if on your doorstep,
is amazing.
I'm
sure lots of people on the back of this will then have that as one of their sort of wishes and things that they actually want to sort of see through.
I think you'd be mad not to go and
year.
have a chat with them. I really would. I mean, they did. You mentioned they'd build a car from scratch for you as well. So if you've got sort of this aspiration of building and owning your own race car, then they'll even help you with that. So I think the limits are endless, really. But it's just, again, it just to demonstrate what amazing businesses we have in the surrounding areas. In Bidford, which really is sort of all intended to be a little village. It's getting bigger, admittedly, but actually it's amazing what's there, and you just would drive past it every day without even realising it. So it's great to showcase what is around on a doorstep.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is part of the show, to love local and also to discover things that we're still discovering all the time, as well as passing information on to you guys as well.
Yeah.
So now we've got our stat chat.
In this episode's Stat Chat, I'm going to be delving a little bit deeper into first-time buyers, and in particular to see how easy it is or not for them to go and raise a deposit to buy a property. Quite interestingly, this statistic here, so an iPhone 11 represents over 1/10 of the value of what they would need to be able to raise a deposit. So it shows where the priority shift maybe has gone in terms of tech and then property and just that demographic of change. Because I'm sure, like you and like me and like you, many years ago we bought properties, and yet all you read now in the papers that it's almost impossible for people to be able to find a deposit to be able to get onto the property ladder. But I think with all these statistics, they're based towards one way. So I thought, well, what I'm going to do is actually drill down a bit more into those and see actually how financially affordable it is or isn't. And it's quite revealing. So back in 1995, the average first-time buyer house would have cost $45,850. In today's market, it's a little over $182,000. So admittedly, a bit of a seismic shift there in terms of the price. But what's also you need to remember is what deposits we're doing and what mortgages particularly we're doing around that time. So it was in the 2000s, you could still get 100% mortgages, and back actually in the... This is probably one of the reasons why it all went wrong. You could actually get 125% mortgages. So you're getting 25% of the value on top, again with zero deposit this was. So it was very easy to buy properties back then. Clearly when the credit crunch came in 2008, that all changed overnight. But what is interesting, these mortgages are starting to slowly be entered back into the market. So now you can get a 95% mortgage. You can actually sometimes get to 100% mortgages with certain lenders. So it's become a little bit easier for them to do it. And why would you do it? Well, I think what's interesting is it can actually be, as you'll see in a second, actually cheaper to pay a mortgage off than it is the rent of the equivalent property. So what I've done is I've done some calculations. I've assumed that if you're a first-time buyer, you've got a deposit of 5%, which is fine. Your mortgage payment's going to be over 35 years, so admittedly that spread is going to make it just that little bit more cost-effective. And then we're going to go in with a fixed rate. Now there are mortgage rates are changing all the time at the moment, and actually they are still quite cheap. So I put in actually a 2.48%, which is a pretty fair reflective rate with the Barclays 95% mortgage on a fixed rate. So what you actually need is a deposit. How much do you need? Well, you'd need just over £9,000, and £9,105 is what you need. That is the average deposit. What that would then do is it give you mortgage payments of £642 per month. What's interesting is if you were rent the equivalent same property, you'd actually be having to spend £810 per month on the rent. So in order to sustain that level of mortgage, you would need to be, as a joint couple, be earning just over £38,000 a year. But what is interesting is if you can get it, it's actually £168 cheaper to repay the mortgage than it is actually to pay the rent. And of course, you've got the other advantages there with the capital appreciation, obviously paying off the loan. So it's quite clear to see quickly that it is actually cheaper to buy than it is to rent. However, you still have to save for this deposit. And that is one of the biggest issues. So you've got the options, bank with mummy, dad, if you're lucky enough to have that facility, that's something. But I think parents still want to feel like the kids are contributing some way and changing their lifestyles. And realistically, that's exactly what it comes down to. It does come down to a lifestyle choice, because like anything in life, there are sacrifices that you have to make. So for example, a survey that was done in 2018 showed that most first-time buyers went out 2 nights a week, and that would cost them an average £63.36 per night. That's nearly 6,600 a year. So, I mean, back in the days when I used to go out, crikey, 63 quid was crazy money. You sort of come back with a 5 and have change. So I think it has clearly changed a lot. And then you go on to tech, so things like these phones that sometimes people obsess over getting the newest, latest version of. Well, that can set you back £900. So again, that relates back to that tenth, that £9,000 deposit you had to get. Now, clearly, these are obvious things, but it comes down to a choice. You could just let your phone go on to pay off the deal, go on to a SIM-only deal. You get yourself sort of £25 a month there that you're paying rather than the full amount of the fixed rate of the phone. So you can do all of these things, but at the end of the day, I'm bound to say, because what I do for a living is well worth getting yourself into this situation where you can afford to do that, because at the end of the day, once you've done that, you've got a valuable asset, you're paying off the mortgages, and you're going to get tax capital depreciation. So as a priority, I would like to think that is what people would do, but as I said, it's very much what you decide to do. And look, at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong. It's just down to a choice, but I think it just goes, what's interesting to say, don't believe what you read in the papers. It actually is cheaper to be able to pay a mortgage off than it is rent. Clearly the big decision and the big elephant in the room is the deposit. However, with a few lifestyle changes over a period of time, it is possible to get to that level, and then with the mortgages becoming just that little bit easier to get and the lower deposits coming in, it's very much well, hopefully a little bit easier for you to get on the ladder. So it's worth having a think about.
Thanks for another really interesting stat chat, Ed. I think that was a completely different angle that we haven't sort of looked at before.
Yeah.
Interesting to sort of analyse behavioural patterns. So whether we're looking at sort of more short term or whether we're looking longer term, and sort of those patterns of behaviour and how that's also affecting not only the housing market, but how it's affecting the rental market, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think it fundamentally comes down to demographics. I think it just shows how people's priorities over the last probably decade have perhaps changed from absolutely outright wanting to own their own property to being less conscious of that and it being less important, and things like tech being perhaps a little bit more important in their lives. And so it's just a reshift of priority. There's no right or wrong, it's just an observation that perhaps you hear a lot where it's unachievable to people buy properties, particularly first time buyers. And I think, look, it's not easy, but unfortunately, like all things in life, if you want it, you have to make some sacrifices. So it's just then whether or not people want to make that sacrifice and choose to do it or not.
And the thing is, technology now, more so than ever, as much as in one way you could argue that it is, in some ways it's comparatively cheaper than it has been, say, 10, 15 years ago. But now it's become such the norm to always have the latest of everything. Yeah. So people will sort of upgrade, whereas before it would have been that you replaced it when it kind of stopped working.
Yeah, I was trying to think,
maybe
like my old Nokia. I mean, yeah, I think we did. To be fair, I think I can't. Do you know what? I actually can't remember how it used to work.
You had to wait 2 years, didn't you? Wait 2 years.
I definitely remember ordering a phone. There used to be, I think it was Dial-A-Phone. They used to do an advert in the back of the Sun or something like that, and you used to get a free gift with it. But I honestly can't remember whether. Can you remember? Oh, you're too young, probably. I can't remember if you paid off that phone. I think it was how it used to work is it was rolled into one cost. Whereas now
so you didn't pay for a handset.
For
it was incorporated within the monthly charges. Yeah. So the psychology was you weren't buying a new phone, you were just getting a new one.
Minutes.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
And you could only text someone.
Was it after 4 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
I think it was 10 p.m, wasn't it? It was late.
Was it?
I don't think it was 10.
It was late.
I remember.
I had a phone that was like that. That was I had an old Nokia. That was probably when I was like 13.
The 3310.
The dual rate.
Oh, the 8210
Was
was
it
the one.
8210?
8210, that was the one. That was
I
definitely
don't know, I'm
the one.
thinking the one that you could
See,
change
one
the
with
covers
Nokia
on.
as well. You think back then,
I
they're
know.
like 90% of the phone market, and now it's
Yeah. And they were the first phone company to have TV on their phones.
Were they?
Ironically, I actually had one of those, which is
No,
weird
that
because now I
is
don't actually
massively
watch TV.
unfortunate. You
Didn't watch it on the
kept
phone
it.
either.
Should have kept it. You
Think
caught
I
us
might
jungling in
still
that
have
case.
it somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
So hang on a minute, you've gone ahead of the curve and then just basically
I know.
missed the curve.
Yeah, and get bored easily, I guess.
Yeah.
Must
Now you
be.
just visit art galleries. don't
No,
you?
you're just making up. Now you're making up hot coral.
Hot coral's a shade. It is a shade, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, previously you couldn't even text someone if they weren't on your network. Do you remember
Yes,
that?
I remember that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
How it's changed, eh?
I feel
Yeah.
like this is like the car phone warehouse show now.
Yeah. Yeah. In this episode's buy-to-let deal, I'm on Trinity Mead in Stratford upon Avon. The property I'm going to be showing you is on Longfellow Mews, which is tucked up in a nice little cul-de-sac. The property itself, that's 2 bedrooms, so you walk into a hall, you've got living room at the front, kitchen, dining room at the back. There's also a pleasant garden to it. Upstairs you've got 2 bedrooms, you can just about fit a double into the second bedroom as well, and a modern bathroom. It's currently on the market for 200,000, assuming you can pick it up for in the region of 195,000. It should rent out for £825 per calendar month, which is going to give you a rental yield just shy of 5%. And bear in mind, this is a freehold property, so that is a good return. Why I love it? Well, Trinity's really come on leaps and bounds in the last few years. You've got a shop on the development, you've got very good access into the town, but also you can get out, say 46 the other way. So in fairness, I think it's just a really good classic buy-to-let. It's 2 bedrooms, it's very easy to let. You're always going to get professional couples into it. So that's why it is my choice for this episode. It's on the market currently with Peter Clark's. Give the guys a call there, arrange to have a look.
We've got a great home hack if you're looking to cut costs a little bit at this time of year, which can obviously prove a little expensive, so keep them peeled.
In this episode's home hacks, I think we've got a brilliant budget solution which will help you rejuvenate those old dining room chairs. As you can see here, this is a bit of a classic design of chair that you can still buy today, but invariably they were often sold with fabric and often light colours, which therefore bear the scars and the marks of kids and people putting handprints on them and everything else like that. But fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with the chair. Structurally, it's good, it sounds still, so really it seems a shame to actually throw it out, which is where this interesting thing comes in. Now, I think this, when I saw it, I was a bit uncertain, but now I've actually seen it in real life. I think it's just a fantastic solution that really just helps you upcycle what is principally an actually excellent piece of furniture, and it saves you having to go out and buy a whole new dining suite of chairs, which at the end of the day is not cheap because you normally have to buy anywhere between 4 to 8 of these things. These, however, are really inexpensive. You can buy them off Amazon in sets or individually. So really there's nothing to lose, and they fit ever so well. So how it works, get this right way round, you simply pull it over the top of the chair. It's all elasticated so it fits. It's got a really good sort of tight snug fit to it once it's on. Pull that down, pull it over the top, pop it down into the corner there, and basically you have reinvented an old chair to make it look brand new. And as I say, you can fit them slightly better than I fitted them there, to be fair, because when it was on it was better, but they are really, really good. It's perfect fit for that type of chair. So just want to say a big thank you to Charlotte, who gave us that idea, which is brilliant, so thank you for that. As I said, it's a very, very inexpensive way of being able to completely and utterly refresh your whole dining set. So hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching.
So really love that. I think it's something that you could use just actually at Christmas time to kind of give your home a new sort of feel for Christmas. A lot of people do want to do that these days. adding into their decor each year and having a bit of a new theme. But also, in terms of a practical sense, you get more life out of the furniture.
Yeah.
So it's very good on that practical level, or whether it's more stylist and you can sort of change with seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why you do it is probably more to make it cost effective. So rather than have to go and buy new chairs, you're just using it. So I'm not sure I guess, yeah, you could go and buy multiple covers, but that sort of defeats the object, trying to save money, because then you're buying, by the time you bought like 5 or
But you
6
still
different
got
covers.
to reuse each time, though.
Yeah. Well, look, the beauty is you're upcycling something, aren't you? You're making sure that
Yeah.
what you've got, you're reusing, and you're not just buying new.
Yeah.
So, double win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you get a great look. It's easy, it's convenient, and wonderful, good service.
Yeah.
So, a great event for the adults, which you might need after visiting Father Christmas numerous times in the local vicinity, is based at the Shakespeare Distillery, and they're actually doing a cocktail making masterclass. So that will take place on the 13th of December. You do need to book in advance, and I do know the price. That is £35 for those that want to test me on that. As part of the evening, not only will you get to meet people at the event, and it's a lovely social setting, but you'll get a mini tour of the distillery. You'll get to learn how to make 3 sort of new cocktails. They always do things that are quite unusual. So you'll have those recipes that you can then take home and sort of recreate for your guests, maybe even put your own take on it as well. And you will also get the opportunity to use a discounted voucher in their store, which I would imagine at this time of year would be helpful.
Yeah, very good, very good. So the big question, now it's acceptable to use the C word.
Yes.
Is your Christmas tree up?
Absolutely.
Real,
Absolutely.
fake?
Fake. I don't like the word fake, but we'll stick with that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the best description for it.
Yeah. It's white, all white. So it's not masquerading as a real one. It's quite clearly a fake one.
My parents bought one, was it 2 years ago, and I can't even abide it. It just looks like masking tape. Like, like black electrical tape.
Right.
It's like that, just wrapped around this twig.
Okay.
And that replaces a tree, and I'm like, what is that?
Oh, because I do quite like just having twigs as well with decorations.
Yeah, we've got one with like fake snow,
That
but this just literally looks like. Is it insulating tape?
Yeah.
Black tape.
Maybe it wasn't Halloween.
No, it's definitely
No,
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, I know you can get those two mixed up.
Yeah, quite easily.
Yeah. But no, definitely is Christmas.
Pumpkin on top of the tree.
Yeah, because we always have a Halloween tree. Do you have a Halloween tree? I always have it. Pumpkins everywhere around the tree.
Easter tree, not Halloween.
No, indeed.
No.
Jack, trees for you? No.
The trees stay outside.
Trees stay
Goodness
outside.
me.
Trees stay outside. Wow. I normally get away
Gifts.
Father
No
of
trees.
2 and no tree.
Lots of gifts, but no trees.
I'm trying to talk Leah down from about 3 trees this year.
Oh, I think that's nice.
It's
No.
not. Do you know what it is? It's nice until you have to move them, and then it's not nice.
Real?
Yeah. It's the smell. It's the smell. It's just the whole. It's the experience. You know what it is? It's nice to go. We normally go to Alscott. They've got really good selection up there. Go up there, try and ram in
it's
the
the
car.
whole
They don't
event.
fit in the car.
Yes.
It's a bit like National Lampoon's
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation, where everything generally goes wrong, but it's good.
And then you do have to see it as a whole journey, don't
Yeah.
you? And enjoy the experience, because I think, there's
Yeah.
lots of things to do. We've all got chores and you've all got your sort of normal life running alongside it. But if you see it as part of a journey and that is part of the experience, because otherwise it will just become a bit of a chore, and that's a shame, really.
Indeed.
So just make an event out of everything, and you'll be on a winner.
Yeah, and just remember, kids, keep trees outside.
Yes. Bar
And on that-
humbug from Jack.
Yes, indeed. Well, that wraps up episode 11, and indeed, that is the last one of the year.
Certainly
so,
is.
thank you for sticking with us. I hope you have a great festive period, and we look forward to seeing you in 2020. Scary, that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See you in January.
Bye.